Hi, I'm Rob Franzese. I'm a professor of political science. I've been here since the fall of 1996. I teach, among other things, I teach PS 300, Introduction to Quantitative Empirical Methods of Political and Social Science. In this class, we learn about how to use data and evidence to study politics, political events, political science theories, and understandings. I'm from Trenton, Michigan, which is down here. It's just south of Detroit. It's a Chrysler town, and like most others from this area, grew up in a automotive working family. I went to, after high school, I went to Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, and then I went to grad school at Harvard in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And then when I finished my PhD, there was miraculously a job here at Michigan, among other places, and even more miraculously, my colleagues thought to hire me, which was amazing. And so I've been here since, as I said, the fall of 1996, whereupon we immediately won the football national championship and 2 hockey national championships, and had just won some basketball national championships. So you're welcome. And that's how I got here. Also, an interest in political science, political economy had something to do with it. Well, as I mentioned, I grew up in an automotive town, and as you know, the industry has had its ups and downs, mostly downs, on average, since my time. And I became very interested in how politics and policy might have had something to do with the ebb and flow of economics, and how the ebb and flow of economics had something to do with how politics work. I studied economics and political science at Cornell, and then at Harvard I continued my research and deepened my understanding about how this all works. And yeah, this has remained the puzzle of my life, how economic outcomes like economic decline, malaise, economic shocks like factory closings and jobs vanishing, how these impact the way politics occur, particularly in democracies, developed democracies, including our own. But comparatively, one of the things I learned and carries through in the course is how poorly we can understand things if we only look at one context, that it's critically important that we compare across contexts to understand better how they evolve in those different contexts. Yeah. So teaching, in particular, teaching statistical methods to social scientists, what excites me, believe it or not, is the challenge of that, but most importantly, I think, helping folks see and understand how we can talk about politics, about political events, and how they're related to economic events, how they're related to each other, and we can have arguments and develop understandings and use evidence, so that it's more than who can say it more eloquently in a courtroom. It's more than who can say it more loudly, bombastically, annoyingly on radio stations or in social media or something. That there's actual evidence and real world outcomes that we can be systematic and scientific about evaluating, so that it is evidence-based. And it, at least in the classroom, it doesn't have to be all about politics and yelling more vehemently than the other person. So helping students see how this evidentiary analysis works, helping them learn how to do it themselves with actual data, believe it or not, that fires me up. I find that extremely interesting and rewarding. Well, all of them. That is, you know, from the beginning. So one of the things about Political Science PS 300 that makes it more than a stats course and different than a stats course is that we go through the entire process of empirical analysis. So we start with what is a positive theory. That is a theory about how the world works, not about whether normatively we find it just or fair or right, but how it works mechanically. How to identify the different parts of that theory and argument. So what are the independent variables that are doing the causing, and what are the dependent variables that are the effects and the outcomes of those causes. Then we learn about operationalizing and measuring those variables. That is, they're conceptual, theoretical in your brain first. Then you have to translate them into things that you can observe in the real world, and you measure them. That is, you put numbers to them. And then we talk about how to describe those numbers that we observe. So maybe we're talking about voter participation. Why is voter participation so low in the United States? It is comparatively low, most other democracies. Turns out there's no mystery about that. We can show you in the evidence and the theory exactly why that is. It has nothing to do with Americans being more disillusioned with politics or put off by politics than other citizens of democracies. Has everything to do with the way our elections are conducted and the different parts of the process of elections. Anyway, you could learn that too in PS 300. And we go through then, of course, it is also a stats course. And so we learn how to analyze that data systematically, that is statistically, so that we can describe the strength of the evidence in for or against a particular proposition in a systematic way that everyone understands on the same terms. And I'd be really happy to go on, but probably you could wait for the course for that. Surprising. Do they find surprising? Well, I can say a few things that are unique about the course, and you may or may not find them surprising. One thing that students, I think, find daunting about the course is that it is an extremely challenging course because, first of all, thinking scientifically positively about politics is not something that comes natural to most folks and that they've thought about before. So the political science is new and challenging. And secondly, the math and stats part of data analysis, many students find very, very challenging. And then thirdly, the way we do that empirical analysis, those quantitative operations, is with computers. And many students, even in this most tech-savvy of generations, have never computed actually. That is, worked with a computer and interacted with it in a way where you're asking it to analyze data. So there's computer programming. So those three things sound very challenging and daunting to many students. I think one thing they find surprising is that actually, yes, even you, the one who's sitting there saying, oh, this course is not for me because I'm not mathy or something. Yes, even you will be doing this yourself. Not only understanding it, but doing it yourself by the end. And what makes it unique about how we do that is, I think anyway, is that the course involves you working with the data directly. So it's not a course in computer programming, but you have to learn how to work with a computer to do that. And the way we do that is we use all the tools that are available to us, and that includes Googling, that includes AI, to learn about how to use the right codes to make the numbers talk to you in the way they're supposed to. So some students find it surprising that I have no problem with them using AI as much as they would like with the course, because the challenging part, well, not because, but the challenging part turns out not to be getting the right code. You can have AI tell you that. The challenging part is what to ask the code to do, and that requires learning how to do the empirical analysis, which is the point of the course. One other thing that's really unique about the course is I have the students, all of the students, after every course, they give me quickly one or more things they learned that day in the class and one or more questions they have that day from the class. So just write that up and you get tons of participation points for doing this. You do this after every class. And so first of all, that helps your grade for easy. And second of all, I read and reply to every single one of those. And I'm there to help. I try to find all the ways possibly I can to get you to come to office hours and work through these things, including giving tons of grade points for those activities. So you will find, maybe surprising about the course, just how much help there is. Oh, and besides me, because I'm an old guy, there is also a TA who's much younger than I am, and the TA is in many ways the most critical and crucial piece of the course that helps you through. So I think most surprising, in summary, I'm not good at brief. In summary, the most surprising point for many students is that yes, you too can and will be doing this by the end of the course. Well, all of them actually, because we're going to understand how to take it out of your feels and your opinion about whatever is going on or that is interesting to you about policy, politics, or what your compatriots are doing, or how or why might they have voted this or that way, and why is a policymaker doing this or that. Is there any relationship, just to pick a particular example, is there any relationship between the partisanship of the government, left or right parties in power, Republican or Democrat, and the performance of the economy or the stock market? By the way, the answer to that is yes. It's not very large, but it is statistically significantly present. And stay tuned or come to the course if you'd like to know what directions that is for particular outcomes. And so now I've forgotten the question. What was the question again?
Is there a political
a political phenomena, that's right. Understand better. So like all of them, I'll tell you one that motivates me currently that I'm very interested in is what is going on with the rise of extremism and radical right extremism in particular across the developed democracies of the Western world. Like, where is that coming from? What's motivating? What's pushing it? Why are we seeing this across the Western world, a rise of extremism and in politics, and particularly right-wing extremism for the most part in the developed democratic world? And so this is very interesting to me, and most every other academic who studies this sort of thing these days. One of the things, many academics are arguing about whether this is a reaction to socioeconomic malaise and decline of manufacturing and industrial work and labor, or some other academics argue that that it is instead, in their view, a xenophobic reaction to mass immigration and anti-immigrant sentiment. And I found in my work, because I've researched this as well using data of various kinds, maybe we'll talk about it in the class, is that the problem with those two arguments, is it socioeconomic malaise and decline, or is it xenophobic anti-immigrant sentiment? The problem is the word "or," that it is in fact both of those things, and we can demonstrate in fact that those two things are linked and connected in the data. And so maybe that would be interesting to some of you too, and if so, I'd be happy to share my data with you and what I've been analyzing and finding. Funny or surprising happened in the class? Well, I'm sure there are no shortage of accidentally funny things that I have done in front of the class as I attempt to enliven statistical analysis with political data. I don't know if it's funny so much as a quirk of mine, as I have a large collection of cartoon ties that I like to bring in and just to liven it up a bit. And my wife hates them, by the way. So bringing them to class is maybe the only thing I can do with them. But we could run a contest to see if I have enough cartoon ties not to wear the same one twice throughout the entire semester. I don't think I do quite. And yet my wife says I have too many. See, I don't have enough to get all the way through. Not funny, perhaps, but a quirky thing about the course is guess which cartoon character will be featured on Rob's tie today. Maybe we could have a pool and make it a bit interesting. Well, I hope my students get a lot of things out of the class. So at a very practical level, these skills of quantitative data analysis for, for interesting, intriguing, unique questions, that's the skill that you won't pick up even in like Stats 200 or whatever the number is these days, where because so much of the class is about here's a political science argument, how do we translate that to an empirical analysis that we can do with quantitative data? That's actually a whole lot more similar, I believe, to the kinds of things you might use empirical analysis for out in the real world after college. When your boss or your project team says, hey, we have to do this, they're not going to say, here's a bunch of data, they have a t-distribution, conduct a t-test. They're going to say, we need to know whether this process is producing a high error rate or not. And you have to figure out how to go through and analyze the process or which of these processes is better for those outcomes. So I hope they learn how to use data analysis to answer the questions that they have. Along the way, we'll learn some statistics and some political science as well. But I think I'll leave it there, that being able to use empirical analysis for actual questions that you actually have would be a great thing.